Hello everyone, I'm TheSylphWind. I've just been in. You and quite Petra. This is a vlog, actually. Yes. Well, this actually came about because I asked in our Discord chat group, are we doing vlogs? Because I hoped we were. I thought it would be something really fun, and it's a bonding exercise, and unfortunately, we are a very international bunch. So, it was not possible time-wise, and it's sad, but, these things happen. I will apologize for the clutter around me. I have been taking care of sick people all week, so yay! It does not leave one time for cleaning up the house, so to speak. I hope no one minds. I'm going to be reading off of note cards. I'm assuming if you're watching this, you have already seen the episode, so I will not be doing a recap of that. And if not, please go watch the episode. It was so much fun to shoot. I have watched it back. I thought it was super awesome. Cannot say enough nice things. I think everyone did an amazing job, and yeah. I am very fangirl and gushing right now, can you tell? Before I get into talking about my points I have written down, I would actually like to take a quick moment and just say thank you to a few people who are doing some behind-the-scenes stuff for the program, which is so super cool for me. Forgive me, I don't really know a lot of people's real-world names, so I'm either going to be using their Discord handles or their YouTube names. First off, I would absolutely love to thank Yi Wong from YouTube, or you might know him as Brushman on our little Discord server. He actually did our opening credits segment, which is so cool, because Hark asked, I would like to do an opening segment like what I did for Season 2 of Dragon Age, and Yi is the one who ended up winning and doing it, and he talked to us each individual and asked, so what do you see your character doing for the opening intro? It's like, I don't know, whatever you want to do, because I can't draw, and you're an artist, and you know more than I do. Just like, there was some back and forth, and I am so happy with what he turned out. It's so amazing. Given how short of a time frame he had to work with, it looks so good. Next, so continuing on the tradition of let's thank the artists, because they are amazing and they're talented and they have a skill I do not possess. Next will be Pixel Prattle and his partner Mako Shea. They are actually going to be doing individual art portraits for each of the character, as well as eventually we're going to get the thumbnail title cards for each session, and that's so awesome. I think in session 1, unfortunately, it's only Roma's character, Molly Moon, that is complete, and you get to see the artwork for. It is so amazing and pretty, and I know they're working on mine right now, and it was so cool just getting to sit down and watch them, go through, okay, this is how we do art. Because, again, it's not a skill I possess, so watching them go from initial sketch to where they were when we left off of, it's there, it's just not colored yet. It's so amazing and wonderful, and I am fangirl gushing. I'm sorry, I don't mean to, but actually, I totally mean to, because it is amazing. Again, my concept art came from an anime doll maker, because I can't draw, but I still wanted it, like, this is what she kind of sort of looks like. Cool. Okay. So with that out of the way, let's start getting into my questions and some thoughts I have from this. Okay, right off the bat, when Hark went into a spiel of this is the world, which was so cool, by the way, there's something that pinged in the back of my head. He actually talked about there's a list of Pokemon that are sanctioned to be within the cities. How each city and town is walled off, so wild Pokemon just can't wander in. Given I am playing what I'm playing, a Mimikyu, is it one of the sanctioned Pokemon? See, here's the thing, I don't think it is. Because, something that could cause insanity just by looking at it? Yeah, that doesn't feel safe. And if it's not sanctioned, is there going to be some repercussions for that somewhere down the line? Because, yeah, that's kind of a big deal. Okay. So that was just from the intro that already had questions going. Okay. My apologies, I'm going to be reading off of my cards a lot. Okay, Act 1, the first segment. There's pretty much questions from every single segment, by the way. So if you're trying to keep track of what's going on here. Okay, I'm going to say this. all the origin stories were rolled, so this was not pre-planned, but I think the order that the origins played out in was really cool. Because we had a really good emotional powerhouse opening with the Chase and Molly origin stories, which was just... that's just serendipitous that they lined up so perfectly. From that section, I really want the question of, who is the Jenny that rescued Molly? Is this someone we're going to see again? Is this going to play a role? I don't know. I kind of hope so, but yeah, we'll see. It's really early in the campaign, you know? That's all I actually had from that first segment. Just really good RPing. I know, I'm so fangirl gushy right now, you guys. It's not funny. I'm not used to being this nice. Yeah. From the next segment, we had... okay, I found this really strange that Noir is actually wearing a pin, or not pin, ribbon, one rank lower than what she really is. I'm a little curious as to the reasoning behind this, why. Also, this segment, yay man, one of my NPCs showed up, Keith, who I'm really happy to see turn up. He's so fun. I love him. He was originally not supposed to be a character, but the more I thought about it, it's like, I really like him. He's going to be one of my NPCs. I'm going to make this happen. And I did. And there's actually something they talk about with Prism Labs, which is the second thing that just pinged through me. It's like, I need to ask about this. When we do the vlog, I'm going to ask. And then we turned out we were doing this instead, individual vlogs, so, One of the things Prism Labs is working on is making shiny Pokemon. And Ew is a shiny Pokemon. Only Tiffany doesn't really know what Oo's origins are, she just found his egg on the sidewalk. So I'm a little curious to see if that's linked somehow. I think it could be fun, plus it's one of those things I kind of left up for Hart to play with. Like, I have some ideas, but if you have something better, I want to hear it. Okay, the next scene was a Cassandra scene, and that was also really interesting. Well, they're all interesting, because we just had two fairly comedic slice-of-life scenes, and then we suddenly go into something else that's very... it's not slice of life, but it's not really the same emotional stuff we had with the first segment with Chase and Molly. I don't know, a little more political intrigue, maybe? I'm not sure what to classify it as. I'm really curious about what Jen's connections are, since she feels oddly well connected for a teenager. I have questions about this girl. I'm just saying, she feels like trouble. I'm also really curious about her family, and just, you know, they want her to go into law to impact the world. And most people, well, yes, police do play such a large part in the world, but I don't know, her family kind of gives me a sinister vibe. So I'm really curious to see, what did they think she was going to do for them in law enforcement? Okay, now we get to my segment, which is, you know, after intrigue, we're back to more slice-of-life comedy. Or what passes for humor. I think it's funny, don't get me wrong. I laugh, or I was trying not to laugh, because I'm super serious, you guys. I really am. Just saying. This isn't really a critique, it's more just, it's something that was in my head, what was going on. Myself and Ella, this session didn't really feel like we had origins per se, it more about like, we had slice of life stuff, which isn't bad, don't get me wrong, because maybe you don't want to front load it, and there was something we were building to toward the end of the session, which I'm going to talk about, believe me. But, okay, so, into it. Questions I had from this. Why is Cecilia... she's way too interested in you. I'm just gonna say it. That was like, all the red flags are going off in Tiffany's head, like, why do you care about my Pokemon? I mean, I get he's a shiny, and I get you do contests too, and shinies have a much higher chance of winning, but yeah, no. I like him too much to give him to you. I don't think you'd be good for him. Also, there was the fun moment of, and here's a dating app, Spinder. It's like, yeah, here's the thing with Tiffany. She sees him more as a toddler. So it's like, yes, you can breed your 5-year-old. It's like, no. Actually, no, toddlers aren't 5. I think they're like 2 or something. I don't spend a lot of time around kids this of late. It shows, right? So it's like, no. There will be no breeding of the Pokemon just now. Well, maybe if the campaign goes on, if something turns up that you does fall with another Pokemon, maybe we'll go there then, but right now, for what's that was super creepy. I don't think it was meant to be. That you could ever really guess what people are going to feel about things on the day of. Okay, and that is card 1. Yay! Card 2, and we're into Act 2. And forgive me a few moments as I read. Okay, this is a chase scene. And from this scene, I actually really had the question of, there's a lot of Aloans floating around the Kanto region. Like, island? Landlocked. I have questions about this. Because you have Fern, you have Ooh, and now you have Gobblestone. And is that normal or is that odd? Because, again, I don't know the Pokemon world, but for me, as an outsider watching this, it feels a little odd that you have so many Aloans floating around. And I know in the case, well, off camera, the reason why Ooh and Fern are Aloans is because we were trying to get a bit more diversity so we weren't all fire and poison. Although, you know, it's a very nice combo. Not going to complain about that, but it is a question I have, is this normal? Okay, the next really big question marks I had was about Vivian and her Ambipomp. And I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. Forgive me if I'm not. I'll get to my pronunciation issues. Trust me. Well, we'll talk about those. It feels a little odd that, one, why was she letting it run free? That's odd to me. Especially in an area where there's heavy traffic, and it does not dawn on me as being a very careful Pokemon. So that was odd to me. Also the fact that it's a... I don't know if it thought it was stealing or if it thought it was playing. And that's also an issue. Because it feels like Vivian would be a bit more of a control freak about it will be well-trained and well-behaved, given the way she reacted to her daughter earlier in the session. So that is something I'm really curious about, seeing a little bit more of that character as time goes on. Okay, after that, we are to... Oh, we are actually to a Molly scene. And this was so cool. Roma, for being new to tabletop, did amazing. I cannot say enough nice things about her. Well, I cannot say enough nice things about everyone, but I think she did really great. Okay, from the NPC list, I'm a little curious about Madison's brother. Is he going to show up at some point? I'm a little curious about the character of Sylvain. How long until we see him again? Because it feels like he has a backstory and it's going to go somewhere. So those are good questions to have coming from this. Okay, from that we are moving on to Noir again. I have this in my notes, best at customer service, because she is. I will say this, like, the scene with Ooh and Remy, I feel that Roma nailed that. That was so cool. And then we get to the news broadcast. And, you know, Tiffany not really understanding, you know, they should have the right to assemble. She doesn't quite get why it's getting broken up. And trying to talk to Noir about it, who she knows is a psychic, because Noir has the pin on, because Tiffany researched it, because, obviously. Oh, I should explain the thing with her phone and looking up information. When you are picked up to do a campaign with Hark, one of the things he asks us to do is a questionnaire, and one of the things they ask for is a quirk for your character. So, one of Tiffany's quirks I have put down was she likes Googling information. If she doesn't know something, she wants to go look it up. So, it was really cool that I got to get that in right on session 1. So it felt also really natural. Like, it was a good time for her to be doing this. Also, I'm a little curious about, you know, their protest getting broken up. That's not foreshadowing. And I am going to come back and talk about this again when we get to Endgame. So, pin in this moment. I also really like this scene because it was, like, the first time we had a moment of Tiffany being, really? I'm judgy, okay? And then coming face to face with Noir, who was just very, very kind to Cobblestone Pete. And her just having this knee-jerk reaction of, oh, I want to be a nice person. I really do. And I know I wasn't nice, and it was wrong of me to judge, and yeah, this person actually is nice. Darn it. Well, yeah, it's too late to me for to do anything, but, I can leave a tip, and I can try being kinder. So I thought that was a really great character beat I got in there. Also, great on Noir for catching Tiffany oh, that's what that means moment. And then, unfortunately, it ends with an unintentional, from Tiffany's perspective, bird about, oh, you have such pretty hair, but it's a shame you have split ends. I can fix that. And she means it from a place of kindness, but unfortunately, it's probably not taken that way. Next, we have Cassie and Team Rocket. I have questions about their social media and work phones. In a world where they are seen as terrorists, it feels like that's opening up a door to get infiltrated in a way. At the same time, I do understand you do need to have connection. So I'm a little curious that's ever going to come back into play. And we have wrapped up Act 2, and we're now into Act 3, where things get really interesting. And in my notes I have self-learn names. Brr. Yeah, I don't know why. For some reason today, I don't know if nerves got to me. I know it's pronounced Duskull. I got my first choice Pokemon, and for some reason, I started calling it Dumbskull at one point. I started calling it Numbskull. I don't know why I did that, and I'm still kicking myself, and self-learn names. You were here because you're supposed to take this super serious and be professional, and oh wow, you do not know me that well, do you, Hark? Okay, back into my notes, shall we? Let's get off of this dead horse I'm going to beat myself up over. We got to see Jefferson, who... I do have this in my notes. I'm a little curious what the history is with Tiffany. Because I have a feeling these two probably grew up as kids together. Like, I'm curious, were they ever friends at one point? Were they just always, oh, it's you? Yeah. So I'm a little curious there's more of a history there. And I know we'll get that time. We'll get that answered over time, So that's the thing. Next thing I have in my questions is, it's not really a question, it's more a comment. Tiffany missing the point several times while Chase is talking to her. Like, she missed the point where he slipped up and actually called Lux a Mimikyu and not a Duskull. So, yeah. It's like, girl, perception you do not have, do you? Oh god, it's Rovas all over again, another 0. Oh, yeah, that was fun. Her also missing the point about he eats outside, because she doesn't, he's just some guy who's out running. Don't all runners smell bad, really? Don't they? In her world, they do. Also, small world, that he also knows Felicity, and that she knows Felicity. And I'm really curious what the connection is with Chase and Felicity, since I have a feeling this is one of Shay's NPCs that he got to make, so I'm curious to see where that's going to go. Next up, we have a scene with Cassandra and Noir again. Sorry, this is the first time they've interacted. I'm going to say this, I feel bad. The first ship of this campaign for me is Remy and Fern. I'm going to say it right now. This is my ship. I stand by it. I adore them. They're so adorable. I didn't really have a lot of questions from this scene. Maybe the only thing I've written down was, what are Remy's thoughts about Fabian? How does he feel about this? I don't want to call him a child, because that's really not it, but this other person that is in his trainer's life, her brother, I'm very curious about that, how that's going to play out, if it's even going to be a thing. It might not be. Okay, after that, we go to Molly Moon at work, and we get the issue of Pokerus. And this is actually why I asked if we were going to be doing vlogs, because this is what sparked it initially in my head, is I want to talk about this. Yes, it's a thing from the games. They answered me during the session. Thank you. And I think I actually yes, I did bring this up during the session. So is it like chicken pox, where there are people that will actually just get their kid infected with it just to get it over with? Is it something that's better to have in youth, and then you can't catch it again? Which I actually don't know if you can re-catch Pokerus, or if it's a one-time only deal. Also, I'm a little curious about the ethics of this, since, yeah, you are making your Pokemon sick, but they learn faster. It feels shady, and it doesn't feel right. And I think Tiffany would be anti-Pokerus. Yes. Okay, and that is that card. Oh, wow, we're... Okay. And now we're still in the Molly scene. Forgive me, I'm a little scattershot right now. I have watched this over... I watched the episodes over 3 days, so... I'm trying to remember things. Plus trying to make sense of my shorthand. Yes. At what point... Molly's boss, Cameron, says, timely delivery. And this goes into earlier... That pin I put in there, it's time to pull it. Where we talked about the psychics. And this is actually something that came out from the Discord section. Something Ella brought up. Is this maybe something the Oh, right. I'm going to stop myself right now. Actually, no, because this is the end. Because we're going into the big conclusion. And at this point, I'm going to say spoiler. Please say you've actually watched the video. So this should not come as a surprise, but... Boom. Yes, it ends with an explosion, people. And it's believed the package Molly delivered was the source of the explosion. Now, day of that we were playing it, my first thought was this is Team Rocket trying to get at Cassandra, because Cassandra left the order. But this was actually brought up in our Discord server by Ella, as I was saying. What if this isn't Team Rocket, but this is one of the psychic things they're doing? Like, they implanted that suggestion into Cameron's head to make sure this package got delivered on time, since he does use the very specific line, timely delivery. It's something I'm really curious about, and I'm hoping we get an answer to. It's also a reason why I really hoped we would be doing this live, so, we could have everyone together so we could see reactions, but, I do understand we are very international, and I scored the sweet spot for the time slots, because it starts at 2 p.m. for me, and we wrap at 7, and then I go to dinner. Unfortunately for everyone else, it's ridiculously late or ridiculously early, so... I understand why we couldn't be all together to do this. And I don't know if Hark is going to do a response video to the vlogs. I don't know. I hope so, because I do have some questions I would love answered. One last thing before we go, actually. Because, new cards. I have them for a reason. As the session was going on, and I do hope you have watched the session, otherwise this really isn't going to make much sense, Hark would ask questions like, red or green, X or Y, crystal or pearl, and it ticked off the back of my head, those sound familiar. And to the people that actually know the Pokemon franchise, like, oh, those are game titles. I'm really curious to see what comes of this, because it feels like it's building towards something. Knowing the kind of DM Hark is and the kind of stories he normally tells, this is I can't say this is going spread, because I might be wrong. I might be horribly, horribly wrong. I don't know. I can't wait to see, though. I'm also a little curious to see how the word spectrum is going to come up and be played, because it got name-dropped a lot during this session. The autistic spectrum, color spectrum, age spectrum. Because seriously, looking at the ages of the characters, like, they're such children compared to mine. Well, we'll actually see how that plays out, which I'm super excited to get to see. And I think that's about all I'm going to say for Session 1. It was a super fun experience. I had so much fun. I cannot thank everyone enough, and I'm so grateful I get to be a part of this. And hopefully next time I will actually get my Pokemon's breed right. So until next, take a look, kiddo.